Alright, let's see if I can get this thing to work. How's everybody doing out there? What's on tap tonight? Good question, Razor. I just wanted to get on here because after several days of trying to figure out how to just what had to be done to create the 4x size map that I want to work on, I think I've actually got it nailed down, and we're gonna show you guys tonight if this is all working good. My video's a little skippy. I hope it's not that way for you guys. But once we get going, I'm gonna show you basically what I accomplished right now so you can see where we're going, and then gonna walk through the steps on how it got here. So if anybody's having trouble getting their map converted over or getting a map started, and it is a lengthy and confusing process, so we'll double check my work every step of the way. It's going to be a while. I'm just going to go through the whole process of how I got to a 4x map and how it's working. I've got everything working the way it should. I'm on it right now. Here's the error log file. No errors. There's a warning because I don't have the zip file zipped because I never work on it, but I have no errors in the log. I have a 4x map file, which to some of you might look like it's basically what I'm doing is I'm taking Goldcrest Valley and putting it into the center of my map. Now, some files from Goldcrest Valley can't be converted, so I do have to, and it's going to be the biggest part of this project, I have to redraw all the terrain. That's why you see it's all grass, which I am willing to do. It'll take me some time. But I just wanted to show you, because we are on the 4x map. Actually, I should have grabbed a tractor, but you can take my word for it right now. We're going to go into doing the whole design process, how to export your map, how to create it larger. Hopefully I can do it right the second time live. If I can't, I'm going to do some things differently too. I'm not going to use this map per se, but I'm going to use the one that I had started working on before I decided to do this project. But check this out. I poked a hole in the tunnel, and voila, we can keep going. We're on a 4x map. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to make it look better. I did some testing of make sure the foliage layers work out here. The field layers, I've erased it, but everything works 100%. And so far, everything looks really good, but I wanted to get you guys so now we can get on with the map project, which is the best news so far. So if you're just joining a little bit late, it has been a process. There's a lot of little details. I know there's a lot of people struggling to get their 4x map conversions out there, or even get a single size map the way. I can't guarantee that you'll be able to get every piece of your previous map because you can't run scripts. We're not going to get into that far, but getting your terrain set up, I think we could do that today. So yeah, there you go. That was my plan. There's a lot of work to be done, as you can see. You'll notice that the fields on this map, and this is crucial because there's no way the fields actually aren't on the map, but the field markers are. So why the fields are appearing is because of the whole, which we'll get into later. If you got your map clear and but your fields are showing up, the original fields, the new field data actually is containing the mission data. So even though there really isn't a field here, the mission data is based on the field markers, and the field appears, and you can actually still run the missions. So we will be able to put the missions in for single players. And I did keep all of the information. You can see I could actually start a mission on this 4x map, and that field really doesn't exist. If I wasn't in mission mode, because I did not draw the fields in yet, then I wouldn't be able to do this. So as we go through the process in a little bit, hopefully we'll get it all right. I'm not going to guarantee anything. Let me tell you, it's been a struggle since the release of this thing to get everything to work. But if I can't get it to work again when I show you guys, I will get the copy of what I'm using right now online for you guys to use and edit as you wish, which I do know works 100%. So with that further ado, let's take a look at all the steps process to get a map started in the editor for anybody that wants to get their 4X map going. Things that you will need are, oh, let's see, I should have grabbed one more thing. You're going to want Notepad++. If I can find, I'm going to drag that in. I wanted to keep my desktop relatively clean. You're going to need the GRLE converter from Giants Developer Network. I don't know if I have that console command in there. Yes, !GDN. Register for that. You will see the Giants Developer Network tools and grab yourself a copy of the GRLE converter. Next, and this is somewhat important, I am using the 4X map from last year for this. For some reason, when I tried to do some of the files from the current year and tried to scale them up, I've been having issues, and I think that's where a lot of people's issues come in. So for this demonstration, we're going to use, basically it's the 4X map. Here, we'll load it up real quick here in the editor that I had started prior to deciding to change everything. And we're going to see if we can get this going. And along with some of the other tips that I have figured out along the way. Let's see, we'll bring this up so you could see what we're going to try. This is in, oh, it's not going to load because I'm stupid me. I'm in the wrong editor. We have to use the 6.05 to load up last year's map. Little bit confusing, and I'm sure when I go to load up this year's again, I'm gonna forget to change the editor back over to 7.02, but we'll try to remember. How's everybody doing out there? If you guys have any questions whatsoever during this process, let me know, because so if you remember earlier, I'll try to answer them as best I can. This is where we started making this map, which I'm going to keep it because, you know, we're going to try to convert this over somewhat into, we're going to get the terrain size, the mountains, and all that fun stuff into FS17 as a 4X map, but we're going to start right at the very beginning and see if we can recreate this. So the first part of the process is getting our map set up for FS17, and the way I did it is, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to create a folder on your desktop. I am going to run, my folder is called my test folder, and I have the money mod in there, and that's it. What we're going to do inside that folder is create a new folder, and we'll call it class map. I'm going to do, because kind of doing another map class here. And inside that, I'm going to make a folder called Maps, M-A-P-S, all lowercase. Once we have that done, you will have to browse to where your Giants is installed, which is C, Program Files x86, Farming Sim 217, and you will see a data folder and a maps folder, and map 01 is the new Gold Crest Valley map, which we'll be using for getting this thing started. So let's open up map 01 and make sure I select the 7.02 editor. Make sure you guys, if you don't have this, if you have 7.00 also on the Giants Developer Network, get the 7.02 editor. Also make sure you get the latest 1.2.1.1, I think it is. Check if you haven't updated your Farming Simulator game since release. Make sure you get that as well, so you don't run into any issues. Some things have been fixed on both ends. So we're going to open up the map, and you will see Gold Crest Valley appear. Alright, so here we are in Goldcrest Valley. At this point, it's just your regular Goldcrest Valley map, your mountains in the distance, your borders, everything. Everything's here. And the reason why I did this is because sometimes you remove components and stuff and things just stop working. So at this point, we are going to go to File, Export All with Files. We are going to browse for our folder that we created, and mine is in my test folder, the class map, and inside the maps folder we're going to go type in map 01 because that's the way they have it already, the i3D file. It'll keep it simple. And then we're just going to click save. A dialog pops up and asks if we want to get the parent directory structure, which you want to click yes. And you can see down in the bottom of the editor we have it exporting the map into our new file. By all means, when you're doing this from the files that are in the game, do not hit the save button when you have the real map, original map open, or you're asking for trouble. You basically won't be able to get on any. You'll have to do a Giants reinstall. If I hit the save button, which I did once, so completely by accident. You never know, it happens. But then you'll just have to reinstall Giants so you can get the original files, because once you hit the save button, you're editing, basically overwriting the core game files, and then if you go try to play a multiplayer game or whatever, yeah, it's not going to work. So you have to do a re-download. Once it's done exporting, it will say it down here. And we are finished with that part of the process. Close out of this and do not save your changes. Click no. Alright. Secondly, we have to go, now if you go into your map folder where we're in our test folder, under our class map, we will see it copied a bunch of files here. And along with the map, in the maps folder we have map 01 and i3D shapes, which we will be working with. But we don't have all of the files that we need. So back to, and this is where sometimes you can get confused too, back to the folder where you have the data maps folder, Farming Simulator, under your programs files. You will see several extra files, excuse me, for, we are in data maps, and we want to be the same place in our new map. Open up the maps and take a look. Now we have the map 01 and the map 01 i3D shapes. We need to get the map 01 i3D collision map GRLE file. We need to get the map 01 XML, the map 01 environment XML, the map 01 sound XML. We're going to grab the map 01 traffic system, train system 01, all of the ones for map 01 and the train system too. When you get to the, and I don't know, just for say, I'm going to grab the pedestrian system. Now we're not going to actually link to all of these, but in the future as I create the map, we may, once we figure out how. I don't even know how to link up the train system, but I do know that down the road I want to be able to reconfigure the trains. So I'm going to copy those and right into the new map folder we're going to paste all of those files. Now let's see, make sure we have everything there. Secondly, we need to get some files that we need to run this. So in the program files, Farming Simulator, there is a software developer kit. It's SDK. We're going to open that. And you will see a maps folder in there as well. We'll go to map 01. What we need, we want to grab from there is our default vehicles, our mod description, our icon. And those, you notice the maps folder is one level deeper, so we're going to just go out to the class map folder and drop those three files right here. So we have our default vehicles in there. You could use the blank map completely, but this is the way I did it, and I'm not saying that everything I do is right, but this is the way I like. Alright, now we are in the Map01 Maps folder, and you notice we have the Map01 XML, but we don't have the preview, we don't have the PDA map H. We want to grab those as well. We do have train systems, traffic system, and the sound and everything. We're going to copy those over here as well. Just the map preview, that's your picture that pops up, and the PDA map, we want to have a starter for that as well. So make sure you grab them out of the SDK. And as far as the files go for starting off, we have to do quite a few edits of these. We'll go through them one at a time. I just wanted to check. There was something I was just thinking about that just slipped my mind, and I'm sure I'll forget something, and we'll get back to it. Right. Now, at this point, we want to go into our mod description XM. Oh yeah, I just remembered what it was. Alright, there's one other thing that I do, which is back in the Farming Simulator 2017, data, maps, the sounds folder. We have a sounds folder, but it doesn't contain all the sounds for the map, and I'm going to relink the sounds to my map. You don't necessarily have to do this, and we'll show you how not to, but I want to put them in the map anyway, so they are shipped with the map. So I'm just going to copy that folder and merge it with the current folder, so we can skip the ones that are already there. So I have all of the sounds within my map that the map will use. Now we'll get into editing your... And if I'm going too fast, tell me to slow down, because we're just going to try to get through this. We can close out at this point our program files x86, the original map, so we don't mess that up any more than we have to. Once you overwrite one of those files, you're kind of... Well, we already discussed that. So, mod description XML file. Let's edit that with our Notepad++. And you can change your author to whatever you want, your name. We can change the title of the map to map class, whatever you want. And I'm not going to worry about the translations for German right now, but if you wanted to, you could highlight that, go into Google Translate and put in the German translations at any time. Just keep it in between your brackets. And you can edit the description. This is the sample. This is the map class map. Very good. And down here, we are going to keep this the same. Let's see, the title. We're going to call it map class map. We just want to make sure I'm doing these so we know exactly that the changes are taking place. And the description, this is the map class map. So you want to set up your map descriptions. Alright. Now, the icon file name, maps, map01 preview, points to our correct file. We can now save the mod description XML file with our edits, and everything else stays 100% the way it is. Second file we have to edit is go into our maps folder, and you do have the map01.xml. Hey KW, how's it going? So let's edit our map01.xml file, and this is quite important because a $data means it's pointing to the original map file, and if you ran this right now the way it is, this map, it would just open up the default map 01i3d and you would never see your changes. So if we remove the $data part right here and just leave it maps, map01i3d, it will look inside our current folder. We are also going to do everything the sounds. We have all the sounds in our map now, so I'm going to... Now, if you were not to copy the sounds over and you wanted to use the original map sounds, you could just go with it and leave it $data. I put them all in the map, so I'm going to reference the map by removing the $data part out in front of that. In-game map is our new PDA map H, and it's in our map01 folder. No, it is not. That is one of those weird things about this. We are going to take this PDA map H, and I'm going to copy it. You could delete it, but we want to put that into our map01 folder as well. PDA map H. We're going to be overwriting that eventually because that's where it's going to point to if we just remove the $data in front of that. And our environment file, we do the same thing. We're going to use our in-game one, so we'll remove the $data from there as well. I'm not touching the memory stuff, don't know what it does yet. Everything else we're going to be calling right now. We're going to leave all the pointers to the in-game Giants default stuff, but down the road we're going to probably add our own fruit types, so we'd move the fill plane material holder, add ours to it, and reference it in the map. But we're not going there today. If you like what you see and this helps you guys out, we are going to be broadcasting the creation of my map very frequently, and as we get to each of the different steps, hey, you can follow along. But today it's just getting you guys set up and started. Once you have that, we're going to leave everything else because we are using the default map. We have all the silo tip trigger information. That's all new to me too. We're going to get into that later on. We're going to save that map01 file, and at this point we're going to test and make sure we have a working copy of our map in our test folder. Now, if you don't have my new mods folder switcher, it's very handy. You can get it by going to !MFS17, and it will give you this program. And basically what it does is it gives you a way to set up folders so you can switch them easily. And I'm going to select a folder, which is my new test folder I just created, and click OK. And then I'm going to name it, I'll just name it map class for the button. This is the name that's going to appear on the button. You can select a color for that button, and then click here when finished, and you'll see I have a new map class button. So if I'm playing my game, I can click on my FS17, but we're going to use the map class. This ensures that any of the mods in my test folder will load up. And we're going to start the game and see, and just let's make sure we have a working copy of a single size map that you guys at this point that just want to work on a single size map, you should have everything that you need, and you can start editing your Goldcrest Valley if I did it right. So let's check it out. We'll go to save game 3, and we have our map class map with the default picture and everything, and we're going to click continue. We're going to use, the money cheat we'll leave in there. And if everything's good, that is the way to set up your single size map. And we'll get into creating the 4x size in just a minute after we test to make sure everything works. And I will be testing often because if I miss one little thing, we have issues. Developer controls, I hope it works the same way. Make sure it helps if you have your development controls turned on so you could easily check when your map loaded up. We have no errors, which is great. We're running my new map, and it literally is a copy of our Goldcrest Valley that we can now edit to our liking. But we're not going to get into editing a lot of it. We're going to create with what we've done so far. At this point, if you want a single size map, you just have to get in there and start moving things around, deleting things. Remember, the field definitions will keep the fields showing, and I'll show you that in a minute when we get in the editor. And you're going to have to remove them if you want to move the fields around, and that's another show as well. But everything is here. We have a working map that we can start moving trees around, do whatever we want. For Goldcrest Valley, let's get out of here because we got so much more to do. And back to where we are. We go to, whoops, I love the way that happens. I'm not out of the game all the way yet. So we have inside our test folder all our map files. What I have is my class map, and the very important folder is in your maps folder. You have this map01 file. Step number 1, we have a map01 demographics file, /dem file. And do this with a previous version of the map file. From FS15, grab yourself a 4X map. You may already have one. You can use my PV Rivers map or whatever. I'm going to grab it from the map I was working on, like I said, because it's already scaled up properly. And let's see. You could see my map01.dem file here. We're going to just copy that over into our new folder and replace the one in our map with the larger. This is a scaled up version. Let's see. It should be. Image size is 2049 by 2049, whereas the original was not. It was 1025, I think. So it's a scaled up version. Just so you guys know, because some of you may be curious on how I did the original map file, I opened up this big one that we have right here that I'm working on, and I took the small one, and I should have made it easier by not overwriting it, and I basically dropped it right in the center. I overlaid a smaller version, the exact file from which you can grab out of the... I'm not going to do this for this demonstration, but if we go to our program files again and go to Farming Sim 2017 data maps map01 and grab this dem file right here, and if I drag it up here and add it as a layer, if I put that layer at 0, actually that's not even the way I did it, because what I wanted to do is I'll drag it up here and I will open it, and then I will edit, copy, and I might have done this in the other one. Edit, select all, edit, copy, edit, paste into new image, no, edit, undo, edit, paste, whoops. But basically I copied the, oh, I put it in this one, edit, paste into new image. Why is it doing that? Oh, I'm pasting it into new image. Paste into, we just want to paste it. And then you have to have this at 0, 0, 0. I did this in GIMP because you can easily center it in GIMP, and if it's at 0, 0, 0, then we get all that extra land around it. But that we're not going to do this time. What we're going to do is get back to what we were doing. We have our new dem file, which is not in that folder, but it's in the other one, right here. For our map, at this point, we're going to go back into the editor, map01. Let's get out of this. We have to find the folder I was working on, which is my test. Class map, maps. So we have our new demographics file, the larger one. We'll open up the editor and take a look at that. And we'll see the changes that happen pretty much instantly. You could see that we have a mess with the terrain and the field sizes and everything. But what we do have is underneath this, and I'm going to get rid of this for now. This is your, what I did in my map was I basically took this and went to scaled the X and Y values, X and, was it Y or Z? I think it's X and Z, I can't remember, to 2 and 2. That makes it a 4x size, and it still kept it in all the way around, so we have the distance maps. But you can see this is the border of the old map file right there. And we now have all this terrain from the 4x out here, but all these other files need to be changed so stuff starts appearing in the right place. What I wanted to do is get this in there, show you that instantly when you put the dem file in, everything stretches your landscape to the size it's supposed to be. Another very important test that you'd have to do is, we'll do it a little bit later on, but we wanted to make sure that if I create a foliage layer out here on this new part, that it will work, because foliage and your terrain details, painting, you want to make sure that even though the map's scaled up, that we can still draw the grass and everything on it. With just changing that one file, we actually could, but the pixel precision is not exactly very good because we didn't scale up the other files, and we just stretched the big terrain file. So at this point I'm going to save the map where we have it and get into bringing in the other files. The way, and this has been trial and error, several times I'd get into the game and just some errors would pop up, but finally, after figuring out if I just use the FS15 larger files from a previous 4x map, open them with the GRLE converter so they're back to PNG files, and then save them into the new map, everything worked step by step. So when I just copied them over several times, it didn't. So we're going to go through the whole process. I think it's the recreation process in the new editor that has to take place, and I'll show you what that does. We got our map saved. Here's my class map. We're looking at all the files in the map01 folder, and we're going to take my FS15 map full files right here, and in the map01 folder we have a lot of the same files, but not all of them. First one's to focus on your if you noticed here, the cultivator density.gdm and the fruit density.gdm, very critical files. I already know that our cultivator density and our fruit density GRLE files, notice they're different naming convention, are scaled up in the 2015 map. So this is where we use our GRLE converter. If you've downloaded it, you won't have all these files. Let me clear out some because it might get a little confusing. I have my converted files and everything in here that I want to get rid of, all my testing junk. Basically, delete those. The important ones are your convert sample bat and your GRLE converter.exe. Now from the new map, our old map, our FS15 map, we're going to take our cultivator density file and we'll paste that one up into this folder here. And we are going to take our fruit density file and I'm going to paste that one up over here. In the convert sample bat, you want to open that up with your notepad and you'll see a little script line. I want to take cultivator density right there, and basically it's the file that you want, which is our cultivator density.grle in, and we are going to output a cultivator density.png file. We'll click save. Now once we run the bat right here, up will pop this window. voila, we just created a cultivator density.png file, which is an image file that the new editor can actually read. It doesn't look like much, but it's our cultivator density. If you had a lot of different fields and stuff drawn, which this map doesn't, they'd be there. But the most important thing is to take your cultivator density.png file that was just created, go back to your new map that you're creating, and remove your cultivator density.gdm file and paste your the PNG file in there instead. And then the next thing to do is to grab your fruit density GRLE. We're going to go back into the bat file here, edit that with Notepad, grab the name exactly how it is. That's why I copy it right here so nothing gets messed up, and replace that there, fruit density.grle, and we want to output a fruit density.png. Save that again and run our convert sample bat file, and when it's done we have a fruit density.png as well. We'll grab that .png file, copy that down into here, and you could actually see there's a little bit of fruit density colors in that one from the map where we did different things, so that's looking good. Delete your fruit density.gdm file completely, because what the editor is going to do is it's going to read the PNG files instead right now, and it's going to actually, at this point, we're going to go ahead and do the conversion process by just run your map01 file from that new map with the new files that you put in there. Up will pop your map in the editor. Hey, John Seeger and Zacho, next one. How's everybody doing out there? If I'm not paying attention to chat, it's because I'm trying to get through this with my head still in the game. Get this out there for everybody to figure, get their maps started. So you could see my valleys are starting to appear. All the terrain is actually here. That's what our cultivator, all the stuff from the other maps floating in the air, I'm not worrying about that, but I'm keeping it in the map. We can get into deleting that later, but I figured you might want to go into your Goldcrest Valley stuff and use some of the new features, and it's already in here. But we could see the mountain ranges that I had, the textures don't line up. But at this point, all I wanted to do is load it up in the editor and click the save button and show you guys what happens with our files. So importantly, we've got the cultivator and the fruit density files from that FS15 map into the FS17 format that works. Once we get this saved, and it's going to be, yeah, like I said, this show is going to be quite long because we're just beginning the process, but when we're done, we should have some pretty cool stuff. Alright, we're saved. Let's close the editor down. If you go back into your map01 folder in the map you're creating, you will see the cultivator density file, but it recreated the cultivator density.gdm file. So we don't need the cultivator density.png file anymore. Same way with the fruit density. It recreated a .gdm. It doesn't recreate them, I do not believe, from a GRLE, and I think that's where sometimes it doesn't seem to work correct, and I think that's where a lot of people have run into problems just dropping their GRLE files in that were causing the errors. So getting back to the PNG files and then doing the conversion has worked well. We don't need the PNG files anymore for those two because we have the new ones. You'll notice in here as well, and this is very interesting, there are several other GDM files. We have a forest grass dark, and we have the info layer GRLE, we have a terrain height density.gdm, a tip info layer, and a town deco grass density GDM. Some of these exist in the previous map, and we'll get right to doing the same thing with all of those. Let's see, is this the previous map? Yes, it is. Alright, so let's take a look. There's a forest grass dark density. Down here we have a forest grass density. It's been renamed. But so what we're going to do is we're going to copy the forest grass density file back up into our bat folder. Forest grass density, and edit our bat file once again. So we have our forest grass density in. Grab the name. We want to convert our forest grass density.grle file out to the new name, which is, I know I've got a ton of Windows overlay, but it's hard to do this on screen. Yeah, we are going to be limited with the lack of scripts, but you know what? There's going to be you can run scripts with mods, placeables and stuff, so I think that's going to be the way to work around it this time around. I'm not even concerned. I know that the community out there is going to find their workarounds. So I want to get started on the 4X map, and we'll get there. So let's see. We want to make sure we have the forest grass dark density name in our bat file. Where's our bat file? Right here. Forest grass dark density.png. We're going to save that one. And once again, convert our sample. And now we have a forest grass dark density.png file. We'll copy that one over to our new map. Paste that in there. And get rid of your forest grass dark density GDM file. It will do the same thing with the creation process for that one. Next up, we have an info layer GRLE right here. Let's check our map. Grab our old info layer GRLE file from our 2015 map. Let's bring that up into our converter and open that up again. And a lot of repetition, but once you do this a little bit, you guys, it'll be second nature for you. I always copy the name so I make sure it's right. And we're going to do the info layer GRLE file, and we're going to output it as an info layer PNG file. Save. Run the bat file, and there we go, our info layer.png file. Paste that one in here. Get rid of our info layer.grle. Say yes. Alright. Next on to the last three, our new files, okay? This is interesting because we have a terrain detail height density GDM, a tip collision info layer, and a town grass deco GDM files. Basically what I did, because we don't have references to these, but we need a 4X copy, is we're going to grab a simple, one of the ones that looks blank. There may be some editing involved, but doesn't look like there's anything in the forest grass dark density PNG file. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it. And then grab my terrain detail height density GDM and rename this one so we have a terrain detail height density PNG. Once we have that one right here, we can get rid of the height density GDM file. We're going to do the same thing. We'll just duplicate it for the tip info layer GRLE. Actually, this one I think could be converted. Let's try converting this because it is a GRLE file, not a GDM file. So and if it can be converted, nope, we don't want to convert it because it's the smaller size. So let's not forget I even said that. Let's go grab the name of it and let's just use the blank copy of the forest grass dark density for that one as well. And we can delete that. And we have a town deco grass density, so we're going to make one more. And grab the name and rename the... Whoops, I didn't want to open you. Double click too fast, that's what happens. So there we have our town deco grass density. Now at this point, if we delete this file, we have all the PNG files necessary to get all the GDM files created correctly. Let's run the map in the editor, make sure no errors pop up. And a lot of times errors don't pop up here. No, there is not a Lua file converter, unfortunately, KW. Don't I wish. It's all done manually. Alright, so our map loaded up without errors. Let's click the good old save button once more. Lua. Yeah, as a matter of fact, the biggest news about this is that scripts can't be run inside a map, but so many people have been having a hard time getting a 4X map to work or converting their original 4X maps. That's why I figured I'd do this now that I finally figured out the proper way to get it working. And people can refer to this video and do it themselves. Get their old map, whatever they, at least some of their map converted over. I could do this for rivers, but I'd have to delete everything because it all runs on Lua scripts. But I could get the landscape in pretty easily. Alright, so we're saved. Let's go back, close our editor out, and let's open up that map01 folder. You should see a forest grass GDM file. Let's get rid of the PNG now. You see, let's see, what other ones? The info layer GRLE has been created from our blank one, so we can get rid of the blank one there. We have the terrain detail height density GDM file that's been created from ours here, so we can get rid of that one there, the PNG file. Same with the tip info, and just check and make sure you've got a creation of the PNG file for each one before you go delete it. If you didn't, something went wrong. And we have a town deco grass density that's been scaled up from our PNG file. So we'll delete that one. Now we have very few things left to go here. You will see that we have beach sand weight, concrete weight, forest ground weight, gravel weight, all the weight files. We can close at this point our converter down. Let's go to our map, our other map, the old map, where we have files created for those that have been scaled up. I am only going to work with, and you could add the other weight files, but that's getting into, you're going to have to get into your map and add those. We're not going to do that today. I'm going to use the ones that exist in the map and just replace with the old ones. If you've done a lot of map work and added your own files, then we'll get into that later on as well in another class. Hey Amaki, doing well. But for now, we're going to just get the larger files replaced in the map that we need. So we have a beach sand weight here and a beach sand weight here. Let's take our FS15 beach sand weight and copy and paste that one and replace the file in destination so we have the new version. Next we have a concrete weight here. Down in our 4X map, I don't have a concrete weight. There is not a concrete. There is, however, an asphalt weight file, which we'll call that concrete. So what I'm going to do is just go down, and by all means, let's duplicate our concrete weight file. Let's see. I want to delete it, but I want to get the name. So let's bring up a copy of our asphalt weight. We'll bring that up here. Copy, please. We're going to make that into the concrete weight. Very simply, we have asphalt. We'll grab the name of the concrete weight PNG file, copy that, get rid of the concrete weight file, and I'm going to rename. You may have a concrete weight file. You just want to get the default one. So now we have it labeled concrete weight. Next we have our forest ground weight. Check our old file and you will see we have a leaves weight, but there is no forest ground weight, and I don't know if nope, there isn't one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the leaves weight file. It's not perfect, but I do know that, again, the leaves do go in the forest, so maybe the same file. So bring up our leaves weight, and we're going to change that to the forest ground weight file. Get rid of this and rename our leaves weight to forest ground weight. There we go. We have one of those now. Grass weight PNG. Down here we have our grass weight PNG. With that one, it's just a simple copy and paste. Replace the one that's there. I'm not going to touch the grass flower colors DDS. That'll be stretched out. It's not a huge deal. We can use the small one. It basically is just a color file for the flowers. It's a random. You can make a larger one. Every time I try to make larger files with this new version, it messes things up. It's a DDS file. I imagine you can scale it up, but basically if you don't scale it up, it uses it anyway and scales it up itself. So we don't have to touch that. If you guys don't know, if you watched my last broadcast, you'll know why there's an American flag in here. You can do some quite incredible designs. That happened to be right where field 14 is. It may show up somewhere else in the map. We might need to just, we'll worry about that later. I'm going to keep the flower one. I also did not do anything with the grass flower mask. So we're on to the gravel weight.png. If we go to here, we have a gravel weight.png file as well. So we'll copy that one and replace the one in our map. Because these are all the already scaled up versions from my old map, that's why we're doing this and getting the old map files in there. We have a mountain rock weight file, but down here we just have it called rock weight. Same thing, they just renamed it. So let's copy that one, paste it in here, the rock weight file, and grab the name of this one, delete it, and rename our rock weight file to mountain rock weight. Ta-da! And a pig mud weight.png. Again, we don't have a pig mud weight or anything close to it. Beach sand, I know on this map was empty, so I'm going to copy the beach sand one so I have a scaled up version, and then grab the pig mud weight name, delete that, and rename my copy to pig mud weight.png. Rough dirt weight. We're almost there. Rough dirt weight is going to be using your dirt weight file. So let's copy our dirt weight file up to here and grab our rough dirt weight name, delete it, and rename our dirt weight to rough dirt weight, so we have the new rough dirt weight file ready to go. Next we have a town grass weight. That's the town grass. That's a whole new grass type. We don't have a grass type. If you have something in here that you would like to see, like you could make the town grass be cobblestone if you want to. This straw home density, those are all ones from the mods and stuff. So yeah, let me get the cobblestone in, because it's we'll just call it, that's wherever there's cobblestone there will now be town grass basically. let's paste that one in here, and let's just take our town grass weight name, delete it, and rename our cobblestone weight file to town grass weight. Every file in there has now been converted, and if I did everything right, we should be able to open up our map editor one more time, check for errors, and take a look at what we have. We have definitely got some new textures, and they're not exactly, but they are, yeah, that's the bottom of the lake right there that I painted. We have the terrain. We have these silly mountains that are in the way from the other one, which we could delete at this point if we want, but I'm going to just slide them out of the way. We have all of the workings for, remember, we have the entire map from Goldcrest Valley floating in the air right. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Now I've got it off the screen. Let's see if I can get that back up here and snap it to the bottom. There we go. So we do have all of Goldcrest Valley files in the map, but we do have our map layout that you guys can remember. There's the farm we were working on. We don't have the trees from my map. At this point, we can start importing the objects, exporting them from the old file, importing the new ones. We have everything set up. Our fields are there. We're definitely going to have to do stuff with the crops because they're going to have to be redrawn. Obviously, we have new crops, and the new looks like everything here is dead. So we'd have to go in basically. But for testing purposes, let's take I don't even know what crop's on there, but let's grab foliage layer wheat and plant some wheat right on that field so we can see it in the map when we run it. I'm not going to do everything. I just wanted to get you guys to this point, and we'll see if we have any issues. So we know we can draw, and what is the done value? 5, 6 right there. We can draw our wheat in on our map in the different layers. What we would need to do at this point as well is bring the new field markers over. I'm going to get into that in a minute after we run a live test, make sure we have no problems. What we want to do is, we are on the edge of the 4X map, so I'm doing a little bit of a test, make sure everything works. We can plant. Can we edit terrain out here? We have rough dirt selected, so I can draw some dirt in here just fine. So everything can be edited on the outside, and I know if you guys have tried any of the 4X conversions that other people have done, good luck trying to get terrain planted and everything. But you can do a little bit of dirt. We have our converted over files already, so we already have some dirt and our slabs and everything, and our gravel. Doesn't look as good as it did in the last version, but it's higher detail. Things changed. Let's save that up and see if we are working okay in the game with our 4X file. And if you notice also in the editor, we're not getting that flashing around the outside of 4X. This whole system should work the same for converting your 16X terrain files over. I will show you, once we get into the editor, a couple of things. I'm going to jump into the game, make sure everything works without, and that because I'm telling you, it's a long process. I don't think I missed anything this time because it's like the 5th time I've did it just before I went live, just to make sure I had all the parts down that we needed. This is the first time I did it with a different map than the one I'm creating, using one of my other maps, but I wanted to make sure, you know, the whole process worked no matter what old FS15 files I used. So that's why I decided to do it actually live with the map I had already started. Now, There's one thing I might have to do, but we'll find that out in a minute. Let's close these down and run our farming sim. And we should jump in. Career mode. Normal's good. Map class map. Let's run you. Let's start. We are in the sky. Okay, that I knew that was going to happen. And that's because we didn't move the... Let's see if we have any vehicles. Because we didn't move the spawn point. These are things that you're going to have to do. Notice we have the fields here. We have a field. Now let me see if I can find the truck. Actually, all of our objects are probably floating in the air because we have this whole new terrain. Some of them aren't. But we have our 4x terrain. We still have fields on the map, even though I don't, in places where they shouldn't be. That is because, as I explained before, the new field definitions hold, they're actually right where they would be if they were in the Goldcrest Valley. They hold the information for the missions. And that's the next thing I want to show you guys very shortly. On how, and I haven't really delved into that. I know I have to very soon, but all our objects are floating because they're Goldcrest. We're gonna edit out some of them, clean it up a little bit, but you can tell our valley's there, our roads are there, so is everything else that was previously there from Goldcrest Valley. It's all in here, and we didn't edit any of it out. We're gonna clean this up, but the main thing is the terrain is working. Everything is here that we need from the last map. At this point, we could start deleting everything out of here that is not needed and bring in our objects from the map that we have from last year. With the exception of objects that run scripts, they're going to cause you problems. You can still bring them in and disable the scripts and use them as decoration, but the best thing is to clean up your old map and get rid of anything that's running a Lewis script in your map to start off, unless it's an in-game script, it's running from Giants. So let's go back to our test map and we will get into a little bit of cleanup for you guys. And the way to clean up the map. Right here we are. Notice a lot of the stuff isn't here. It's all hanging out. First thing is, we have a lot of weird pieces here. Let's jump into Goldcrest Valley folder. That's where all these pieces are. Delete anything you want or highlight things that you want, and basically you can delete them or you can move them individually if you want to reuse them. You've got all the... I purposely left them in here for you guys to figure out what you want because there's some pretty cool things. What you can do is individually select each location. Like we have a town that's buried right there. The whole town. It's underwater. If it's too much, you can move it off the map. You could try to do a Control-B click and bring it up above ground. The town's pretty big. Or you can delete it completely. You'd have to pretty much move every single individual building. You can move them off the map, do whatever you want, but for now, I am going to delete the town. I'm going to delete most of these pieces, but there are some things we need to keep. I'm just doing it to clean it up. You can decide at this point what you want to keep on the map. Let me see. I'm going to delete those. I don't know where I don't think it's in the locations, but we have not. Yeah, we can delete all the fun stuff. Keep what you want. I'm just going to delete to everything that's in the. It looks like it can delete everything that's in the locations folder just to clean up the map a little bit. We can delete everything in the decoration folder. You could even delete the decoration folder, but I'm going to take the individual decorations. Copy, move them. It's a long time consuming process. Keep one of everything on the map if you want, so you can use the new pieces. We have the roads and the bridges. I'm just going to get rid of them so we can get a clean map, and that's all there is to it. The water planes, we're going to have to import a water plane. You can do that the same and replace the water plane that's in here. We do have water planes. We don't have one in our map. That is also, I did not plan on that for this show, but export your water plane and re-import it into the water planes folder, and you will be good to go with your water plane from the other map. So we're not going to use those, but make sure you put your water plane in the water planes folder from the last one. Our distance objects, there are all those mountains in the distance. I guess I'll remove those. I'm just cleaning it right out. We got to leave our fields temporarily, and our animals, they have to stay there. You have we want to have all our new address information for the animals and the navigation meshes. Load places. Those are your vehicle shop load places. You're going to want to move those to load place 1. Okay, where is our vehicle shop on this map? We don't have one yet, but let's move it. Just make it so that if you buy a vehicle right now, we have a place where it will load in. So I'll put the node right there for now. The map boundaries actually have all you're going to want to remove these or move them out further. These are the boundaries that were on the 4x size map. You can't go through them. You have to, they're blockers basically, and it's out of there so we can access the rest of the 4x map. Let's see, the collectible gold nuggets, we might want to leave those in. We'll move them all. They're all going to have to be, all 100 of them will have to be basically moved somewhere on the map above ground by highlighting each one and then doing a left control B and click and move your gold nuggets to wherever you want to hide them. I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to leave them there. Animal loading triggers, they're going to have to be moved. All the trigger stuff is going to have to be moved to where the new animal places are. I'm going to leave them in the map, but I'm not going to move them right now. The tunnel system, highways, we don't need those in here. That includes all the tunnels, the ends. We might be able to use them, but again, we're just going to clean it up so we can see what we have. If we're bringing over a map, you can also export them as you need them from a map once it's clean, which is sometimes a lot easier to work with than having a lot of things. We have pedestrian splines and traffic splines. I'll leave them in there. There will be people walking around. Street lights. Let's get rid of our street lights. Our ghost lights. Our trees. Our restricted zones, which I'm going to get rid of our sounds. Our field border help collisions. I'm going to get rid of all those. At this point, we have our particle systems, which are smoke emitters from the factories. Let's get rid of those too, and everything. We have our train system still in there. Our ground markers, I'm going to leave them in there. Trigger markers, you're going to have to do a lot of editing. We'll get into that down the road. We really don't need the tour icons in there because we're not going to give them. You might want to keep the help icons. Placeholders are not necessary as well unless you have sheds and stuff on the map in your default XML file. So we have our cleaned out map. That's pretty much it. We left everything, basic stuff in there. You're going to choose what you want to leave in there. As far as sounds and stuff, we can move them around. They're floating. Everything's got to be repositioned at this point. You can import stuff from your old map into where you want. But for a basic starting map, this is how you can get it going. One more test. Save it up. We've cleaned it up. Oh, actually, once it's done saving, I wanted to show you one last thing which is crucial. In your fields menu, we have several fields that are predefined. If you're going to be creating a new map, let's take and get rid of all these. You could leave them in there theoretically and use it for your fields, but you're going to need to find field 1, for instance. You have a field by trigger, field dimensions, field map indicator. It's all way over there. We have a field over here. Place your field 1. It has a field angle, field area. There's a price scale rather than a price, and an NPC index. This is all relatively new, and I haven't messed with it yet. I'm not exactly sure on the field angle stuff. What's it, I'm sure I have to look at it. It's a 90-degree angle. So let's see if I can. We got a blue arrow pointing right. This one here has a field job spawn direction, field price scale, NPC index. That's interesting. One has a field job vehicle spawn index direction. 3 has a field area, field price scale, NPC, and a field angle of 90 as well. Why doesn't that have a field angle? I don't know. We'll have to figure all that stuff out. But basically, it's all information that has to do with the missions. So that's why we're still getting a lot of fields drawn on the map, because all the missions information is in here. We're going to have to mess with the angles and stuff, but basically, for starters, you want to do your fields, I imagine, in the same way we've done before, which would be, we have field 1. Let's get our field by trigger. Let's put it on the corner of this map just for the heck of it. Alright. We have our field dimensions. Corner 1 is usually, let's see if I get this, well, let's see what it looks like right now. Corner 1, corner 2, and corner 3. So bottom left, then top. So corner 1 we want to put right down here. Corner 2. Wow. It's almost like the right size, but I'm going to re-click it because I think it's floating off the ground. And corner 3 we'll bring in to right over here. So you remap with your corner 1, 2, and 3. Whoops. There we go. And that is marking the field. And you have your field map indicator, which will drop right into the center of the field. And I'm only going to do field 1 right now as a demonstration. So our map indicator, all our thing, and I'm going to, just so we don't have a bunch of weird looking field stuff on the map, I'm going to delete the rest of the fields for this. And it's probably about, we're going to have to duplicate this one, redo the field areas and stuff. I'm not exactly sure how they measure the field areas. I'm going to have to figure all that out. I imagine it's the same formula. It's 5.15 hectares or something, or I don't know. We're going to have to figure all that out. I'll have to do some tests on all that fun stuff. But let's see what we have now. For our field 1 should be able to run the missions. because we have all the data. It has an NPC index right here. I think you need to have a vehicle spawn area. It spawns at the trigger, I believe, if there's no vehicle spawn area. But let's test it out and see what happens. We don't have to wait too long to save because I deleted everything off the map. Oh! One important thing that would have been nice would be, let me go back in there. Shouldn't take too long. Is get our player spawn point if we didn't delete it by accident, which would really stink. It's very possible I did. Career start point. Let's get it so we're above ground this time and not floating in the air. That works. So there's our career start point. Now we'll save it out. Close it. Run our map one more time. Make sure I didn't delete anything important. It's possible I did. On to save game 3. Grab my new map, which we can change that picture. It will be changed eventually, but right now, not going to do it. We can also change the default starting vehicles. See, now I'm above ground, right where I put that field start point, which is what we want. We have a field. Notice I did not plant that field, but it looks planted. That's because the mission system appears. And let's see if we go to the R and we want to start our mission because it's built in. He wants us to fertilize. Now, no, this is where the angle stuff comes in. Obviously, we're going to have to work on this. It's all new to me too. All my equipment kind of spawned in backwards, so yeah, I'm sure the angle and equipment position stuff is all stuff that's gonna have to be relearned, but it's there. You know, it came in pretty close. We just have to change the angle. It's probably -90 to flip it around so we're not facing the wrong way to do this mission. But let's test it out anyway by turning on our spreader and see if we start completing our mission. So basically, if you don't own the field, we can have missions pretty easily. It'll show the field here anyway. This is the only one I marked, but it's built into those field markers. We need to figure out a little bit more about them, but it's a start. And the press AZ to share your gameplay might be because Steam's running. I'm sure it is, but I'm not sharing gameplay. I'm streaming. So yeah, you can run your missions. It's working just fine. The interesting part about this whole thing is, and I'm going to trigger it so we fail the mission here, is that we have nothing planted on the field. I think it might even be a dead crop underneath, but we have to do all the redesigning and stuff. What I'm going to do is jump off the field, get out of the area, fail the mission, so we can move on. Once we drive out of that area, we have mission failed. Let me get some money if I can remember. Mission failed. Thank you. All right, I got 320,000. There's my field marker. Let's buy the field. You don't have, how much is this darn? 417,000. Okay, let me get more. So now we own the field. And interestingly enough, I don't even know if we have to plant fields other than the starter fields anymore, because we have a crop growing in the field anyway. Kind of cool. Not very fertilized, but there you go. I don't think so. Other than your starting fields, which you may need to plant crops, I think you're good. Everything else will just appear, and you'll have crops as long as the missions are set up. I'm going to do one last thing because I'm curious now. Let's exit that out and bring up our map one more time. Whoops. Love it when it does that. I'm going to just change the angle. I'm sure that the size in the pricing scale, everything's at 1. I think if you up it, you'll have higher prices to like 2, 3, 4. I'm not really concerned about that at the moment. But you notice we have dead crops planted. We'll clean that up. We don't need crops. Well, it is a starter field, so yeah, we will need crops there. I'll show you one thing real quick too after we do this, but I wanted to grab the fields here and let's change. I'm guessing that either 270 or minus line. Let's go to 270 for field angle. We'll keep it. Field area, you're going to have to use my formula, I'm sure, just so you guys know. I've done this before. Field area is probably hectares. So let's see. Formula that I use is, if I can remember it, you have corner 1. Let's see, we didn't set it up exactly the same, so yeah, I'll have to rework that stuff. Interesting. Finding field areas, I usually take the corners minus 1655. Because I usually take the field 01 marker, which we didn't do. It's way over there. I usually take it. Let's try to reset this up. If I put the field 01 marker in the center of the field, and then corner 1 goes, which way was it? Down here, I believe. And field dimensions, yep, they're at 0. Corner 1, corner 2 should fall in place, corner 3 should fall in place. Alright, so we take corner 3 when I have it like this, and it's 184 times 188. This is the formula because this is the X and Z positions. Let's see if we can get a calculator up here and remember this. So the way I used to do it is 184, which is the X position, and the other one is negative, but times it by 188, you get a big number that I always used to divide by 12400, and we get 2.78 hectares, which seemed to be very accurate after with lots of trial and error, a quick way to do it. So if we make that 2.78, I think I got it right. It's kind of weird with all this crazy new stuff. Oh, wedges. Yeah. But basically, that is how I used to come up with the field size area. Price scale, my guess is the price will go up if I make it a 2. The MPC index is obviously the person that pops up on the screen. I think there is a maximum of, I don't know, 15, 16. But if you wanted a different person, like you just try one of the other numbers and you'll get a different farmer that owns that field. I'm going to save this one more time, see if I screwed anything up. Oh, I know what else I feel. Because I moved field 01, my field map indicators moved as well. Let's get that back in here. Want to have that in the center. And the field by trigger, we have at this corner. Make sure we get those placed once again. Now we can save it. Lots to learn myself, so this is kind of a little bit of experimenting going on, but it's a very good start. Script toys for mappers and modders. Yeah, you're gonna, I think, what do I do with the MFS file? The mod folder switcher, you need to extract the zip file and then just run the setup in there. If it pops up with a warning that it's basically I didn't sign my certificate expired, you're gonna have to trust me that there's no problems with it and just override the if it pops up on your Windows Defender to continue the install. And once it's installed, you're good to go. You'll find run the icon anytime you want. Let's see. It's a pretty simple program. Watch back in the beginning. I showed you how to set up. It'll walk you through the setup process. It'll actually set up automatically unless you didn't install to your default location. Now there is one other thing I have to note, and I just realized this, and I will work on it for a future version of my show. I'm not as concerned about it right now, and I'll point that out in 1 minute, because right now I want to check. Our value dropped considerably. The area is the 2.78 we put in, which is, so we got that right. That's a hectare. And let's start the mission and see what happens with the equipment this time. I'm still backwards. Well, we'll figure that out too. It probably has to be minus 90. Let me try that one more time real quick. I'm very curious on how the heck I can... the field angle, it has to have some... There's no other parameters in there. I would think it has to do with the field angle. I guess I could move the... one way to fix that. Another way. Probably the easy way. Let me see. Get into my test map. The easy way to fix it would be pop up there. I'm guessing if I took my field marker here where we start the mission, this little field marker for the field buy trigger, and moved it to the other corner, we'd be just fine. Well, let's find out if that works. Not that that's the way we want to solve the problem, but... Oh, you know what else I noticed? I know it could have to do with the positioning of the field marker itself. It's on a rotate minus 90. Let's go back. I bet you that's all it is. Let's put it back where it was. And let's swing that around to the 90 degree so it's pointing the other way. And give it a try. One more time. Alrighty, let's see. Continue on. Run over here. Now all I did this time was spun the icon around. Notice how it comes in, and now we have a wheat field to harvest. I guess it's random at... Alright, so R start. There you go. It's not exactly positioned where I want it. We can move the icon over a little bit, but we'll get it down, you know, it did spin it around. So it's the direction the icon is facing that the vehicles are going to spawn in, even though the icons really don't have much of a direction. But there you go. If we slide that down a little bit, we'll get the equipment to spawn in. I imagine the spawn location offset will do that as well, which we've seen in some of the other fields. And we will use that stuff in the very near future, but we're good to go. With our missions and everything. So I hope everybody, I hope I helped out some of you guys out there anyway. I wish I could show you, well, we know I've tested everything out on this, the way we've done the scaling up of this map. Yeah, I'm not worried about that. One of the things, I mean, I wanted to make sure the tip anywhere does work out on the outside. It works very well in the editor. Everything is in here. I'm not even going to work on this map right now because I want to use my new idea. But down the road, who knows? I haven't tested it with the 16x version. I imagine it will work the same way. But, and you can re-import your objects. Remember, scripts do not run from last year. So if you have any scripts running on your objects that you import, you're going to get some scripting errors. You can bring the objects in and then just disable the scripts or whatnot. And just get them in as decorative objects at least until people give the modders some time. And I need the time because I got a lot of editing on my terrain to do. Get some new fields in and figuring out all the angles. There's a little bit more to figure out, but I think it's going to be well worth it because we will be able to have the field missions on our default maps. We will be able to have 4x maps. And we're going to go through during the creation process. We'll be back again and we'll show you each step of the way. But for the next few days at least, I'll be back here on Tuesday for you guys. For the next few days, I'm going to be working on redesigning the terrain, and when we get into something new, I'll make sure we cover it. But right now, it's all about redesigning my terrain in the other map and getting it to look like close to Goldcrest Valley in the center and expanding out and making it really cool for this year's 4X map design. Import some of the stuff that we want from our old maps. We got to get the museum in here to thank all our donors, and I need to update it really badly. I don't know if my Twitch alerts is working right now. What happened was they switched. Did everybody know that the Twitch alerts switched to their name? I switched all the links. I'm thinking we're all good to go. I saw a couple of follows pop up on, yeah. We'll work on that. Twitch alerts is still iffy. Whoa, I just drove off a cliff. Cool. You notice this? I like this this Chevy or this Ford or this Lizard because it always seems to land on its wheels, which is kind of cool. Anybody has any questions? I'll be glad to try to answer them. Other than that, that was really what I had planned for tonight's show, is to get you guys caught up on and let you know we can do a 4X map in FS17. I just showed you how to do it. By all means, share the video if you know somebody that's having trouble. And it doesn't fix everything, but it gives you all a good place to start. As you can see, I did a pretty basic map that I started on. I don't have the water plane. We could get into that if we needed to add a water plane. We're going to be adding water in our new map. I want to spend the rest of my time working on the map that I was working on rather than driving around. And I will close the show with that as well. Let's go back to my other folder and give you an idea of all the work that's coming. If you missed it earlier on, you could place the MFS file anywhere on your system. I have it in on my desktop, and then just wherever you put it, just copy a shortcut of the icon that looks like this somewhere on your desktop so it's accessible. Remember, when you add folders, you want, when you close the program is when it saves the button. So if my computer was to crash right now, the map class button would disappear. But once you save it, close it, it'll always reappear. I'm going to switch over to my FS17 folder, run the map for you guys one more time that I'll be working on for this, the first project of FS17, my PV17 expanded. We're turning Goldcrest Valley into Pleasant Valley 17, and I have lots of work to do because, like I said, you can't convert the terrain GDM files from this version. I wish they would get that GRLE converter. I could have redone it the same way so I didn't have all this extra work to do. But here we are. I got to redraw all the terrain. I turned it all to grass because it was all scaled. I basically didn't have one. I used one from last year. But we're in here, and you can see I don't have to. The original Goldcrest Valley will return to a very close. We're going to make modifications. Obviously, a lot of us feel that the farm areas are too small for our equipment. We'll move some stuff around as we go. But right now I want to restore the terrain. I left the fields markers in here because I can restore them for us to redo based on where the markers are. They're not actually drawn in yet, but because the field markers are in there, we're good to go. We're going to go to each end of this highway, and we'll find other places where we can poke the walls out as well to expand into the new map. But we're going to expand the road system out into the whole new world and redo all of the terrain. On Tuesday you'll see probably a pretty good chunk of that already started, because that's what I'll be doing, drawing, repainting all the terrain to make it look as much like Goldcrest Valley as possible. But this is what I did. I opened up the tunnel so that we'll be able to go through and look at all the world that's going to be out here that we can now expand outside of the original Goldcrest Valley. I got to do this side of the mountains all the way around, take some out where I want to, but I do like the fact that we have the little tunnel system that we'll be able to drive out here. And we got to rebuild map borders. Because I scaled up the distant mountains out there, you can see them out in the distance still. I think it's going to be pretty good. I like the feel of Goldcrest Valley. We'll have some larger fields on the outsides, new towns, new farms in the Pleasant Valley style that we've done in the past. So, and that's how we are going to access. We want, one of the best things I like about Goldcrest Valley is the fact that the road system and everything is designed that you actually want to use it rather than cut across the fields and stuff. So we're going to try to bring that in by going through the tunnels and expanding and making the map as interesting as possible. We have a whole new world out there. So with that, I hope you guys like Goldcrest Valley as much as I do. We have a lot to edit. But I think you're going to love it. This year we did the same thing with the Bjorn home. We put it in a corner of the map. Putting Goldcrest in the center just made it easier because everything is based off the center location 0. I didn't have to edit anything. I copied the terrain right at 0. All the trees are here from Goldcrest. All the items, the roads, the buildings. It's basically just the terrain underneath them all that needs to be redrawn because the GDM files, which I have a new name for them that has a G, a D, and an M in it, that are in the 2017 map do not convert with the converter that Giants has. And I understand why they didn't do it. I'm probably the only person that wanted to use them already. But everything's here. So we have a lot of the original work, and let's see what we can do on the outskirts to keep duplicating and making a larger version of Goldcrest Valley called Pleasant Valley. It's going to take a while. With that, this special edition of my show is now over, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Just wanted to get out there. We are working. We are back, and we'll be working on the latest edition of the map, and as soon as we have something viable for release, which is probably months away yet, but we're going to keep you updated. We're going to show you this time. We got grass to clean up. Yeah, we've got stuff to do. But it'll slowly start looking like a new map. One last thing I wanted to show, might as well, because I'm in this map now. The fields, I showed you that the fields work on the outside and everything works, but there is new features in here that you really wanted to make sure work. And on some versions of the test maps I've tried to use, this is another one that didn't quite work out as well, and that is the alternative tipping has to work everywhere, including out on the expanded part of the map. So once we drive through the tunnel with this, as long as we can dump it, we're good to go. I am done with this little tutorial here. I'm going to be logging off here in just a couple minutes. Everything that you see on this map, Def Gamer, is Goldcrest Valley stuff in its exact position. It just needs to have the terrain redrawn. So but the trains are here. We're going to take the train systems. We're going to, once we figure out the splines for the trains, we'll run them so that they go out into the new areas. Not sure how to add additional trains yet. We'll look into that as well. But it should be a pretty awesome, exciting project. And I'm just so relieved that we got to this point. And definitely wanted to, I know there's a lot of people, by judging by the forums, and there was even a petition out there that say that 4X maps can't be done. Well, they can be done, everybody. You saw it. I'm on it. I gave you the directions. Follow them exactly how I did. Don't try to cut corners unless you know it's going to work if you've done it, because that's where your errors start popping up. Using the different file types and trying to convert them. Just grab a already scaled up version if you're doing a 4X from last year. Do what I did in this video. You shouldn't run into any problems. If you run into problems, sometimes you have to start all over. I know that trying to use this year's current infolayer.grle file and just scaling it up and not using last year's caused me to have to restart the whole project over twice. So I don't know why it wouldn't scale up properly like last year's version did, but as you can see, we can also tip anywhere out here on the new part of the map as well. So with that, everybody, we'll be back on Tuesday. We'll show you how far we've gotten. There's a lot of work to go, and we'll keep continuing. If there's anything new or anything you need me to cover, then I will do that as well. Everything in here is the default Goldcrest Valley map. Absolutely. So thanks everybody for watching. I hope I helped some of you guys out, and I'm going to leave you parked in my tunnel. And have a nice day. I'm getting back to work.